Hello there, dear friends, and welcome back to NXT Ups and Downs, presented by a man who is, for the time being at least, WhatCulture's most successful and prolific presenter of series that are entitled Ups and Downs. I mean, I'm not here on Saturday, I can't do SmackDown, I'm going to see Carly Rae Jepsen, but live in the moment. And is it just me, or is NXT entering this kind of weird week-on, week-off cycle lately? You get like a really anticipated show and it's like a 6 or 7 or 8 out of 10. It's very good, but it's not great. And then the week after, when your expectations are diminished, you get an absolute classic. I mean, spoilers ahead, but this is an absolute classic. Now just hear me out, last week had two of the most anticipated matches in a good long while. The final of the Dusty Classic and Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai, and it was all kind of okay. Whereas this week, we didn't really know what we were going to get. Some talky promos, a couple of matches here and there, but nothing really locked in concretely. And did it deliver? It did lamb, chicken and fish. So with that terrible joke from the mid-noughties in mind, my name is Adam Clery, hashtag on Thursdays we wear yellow, and these are all the ups and downs for this week's episode of NXT. Alright, straight up, you know I'm going to say this, the intro package was really good, because the intro package is always really good. I'm not going to give it enough, because otherwise we're getting up every single week. I just like it, I like the song, and I like the recap, and I like all of it, and let's move on. Alright, so first up, I just need you all to know something, right? I have worked really hard in my career. I've been doing this for years. I've written for websites and magazines all over the world. I've owned my own company. I have lectured journalism to many of the region's students. I've worked really hard, right? And I'm at the stage in my career where if I want to award a conceptual plus point to a wrestling show purely on the basis of them having a customized neon golf cart without giving an explanation, I can do that. So, there you go. There it is. It's a thing now. The weird thing is, right, this promo is not good. Yeah, but I know what you're saying, but just hear me out on this one, right? Some of the stuff they were saying was very hokey, and the delivery was in places very hammy. It didn't really do anything to further the upcoming feud for the NXT tag titles, and yet, for a show that is normally just one note and really intense all the time, it was a breath of fresh air so strong you normally wouldn't be able to get one like that without opening the windows at Matt Riddle's apartment. Because NXT is an intense wrestling show. The matches are intense, the rivalries are intense, the promos are intense, the segments are intense, the stare-downs are intense, the beatdowns are intense, the brawls are intense, and it rattles through for 2 hours without ever really giving you a chance to breathe or laugh. And just in a couple of minutes of giving these guys the microphone, we got a good number of laughs. Like, how many fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish? Got over straight away. And it's dumb and it's stupid and it doesn't have anything to do with the upcoming rivalry, but it was entertaining as all hell and the crowd absolutely loved it. I've been saying for weeks and months and years now, just let the wrestlers talk. Take away the bad scripting of WWE and magic will happen, and this was magic happening. Up. Honestly, just go quickly watch it back. There's not a single corporate WWE buzzword in this entire promo. Mwah! Next up, a wrestling match between Isaiah Swerve Scott, who we don't see enough of in my opinion, and Angel Garza. Now, it's very important NXT is not ever received as the lower leagues when it comes to the main roster, but given that he was just on Raw and working Rey Mysterio, Garza felt like 10 times the star he was when we last saw him at Worlds Collide. Like just a couple of weeks ago, this guy felt like another up-and-coming young hopeful on the developmental brand, but now that he's been introduced by Zelina Vega, inserted into that feud with Humberto Carrillo, and had a banger of a match with Rey Mysterio, he feels like a firmly established part of WWE lore. And also, it's worth pointing out, he's back on NXT 2 days after making his main roster debut on Monday Night Raw, which shows how important affairs on this brand are to people. Smart. I'll get to the match itself in a little bit, but simply the decision to have him on Raw, get that rub from Mysterio, and then to pass it on to someone like Scott is booking 101. It's also an up. Don't really know what to say about the match itself because it's just another cruiserweight match on NXT. You know what you're going to get. It's going to over-deliver. It's going to excite. It's going to thrill. It's going to enthrall. It's going to remind you of how good the two men in the ring are. But what I do want to say is, what's that move called? Popped the hell out of me at Worlds Collide, popped the hell out of me last night. It feels like a wrestling move that should have been invented decades ago, but for some reason, hasn't been, and I need to know its name, so if you've got any suggestions in the comments below, please. Anyway, yes, Scott was amazing, but in the end, after distracting him with the tights by throwing them in his face, Garza picked up the win with the wing clipper, and he now moves on to feel like an even bigger deal, and Scott, even in defeat, looks like a better prospect having been in the ring with him. Loved it. Up. Backstage now for an Undisputed Era segment, and look, I know that Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne are good friends now, they're close, they're tag team partners, but when did they find the time to have an 18-year-old son? And a quick bit of WhatCulture trivia for you here. What Roderick Strong did to that poor young man in that barber's chair is actually what happened to Andy Murray on his first day in the company. You hate to see it. Oh, and quick final cheap gag for you here. I know it's been ages since NXT signed a big name for the roster, but really? Sergeant Slaughter? Who saw that one coming? Etc, etc. Yes, up next. Okay, so I like Dominik Dijakovic. I love Keith Lee, but there is absolutely nowhere near on this earth as much interest in seeing them have another match as NXT for some reason believes there is. Yes, they are individually brilliant and brilliant as a pairing and have brilliant matches together, but since NXT arrived on the USA Network, we have seen these two share a ring with each other in one form or another 7 times. 7 times. Not to sound like that woman from BBC News when they announced the election, but really? Another one? Alright, so yes, okay, there is a lot of trust in the process as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure the match will be really, really good, but it just... When he got that North American title off Roddy Strong, it felt like this opened up a whole new world of exciting, fresh possibilities, and God love him, Dominik Dijakovic is not one of them. Putting these two back together and using a just barely functional match against Killian Dayton to get there is a down. Not against these two ever wrestling again, I should point that out. Like, you could do it somewhere down the line. We have Lee face loads of different challenges while Dijakovic makes his way back into the reckoning for that belt, but it's just, absence makes the heart grow fonder. I am not fond of this match. And we're backstage with the Undisputed Era now, right? And, okay, they don't give out Academy Awards for hard-to-watch poetic irony, but whoever it was pitched the idea of literally putting Kushida in a bin. Well, there you go, mate. There you are, it's for you. That one. Don't forget to thank your mother. In fact, you know what it is? WWE being so social media minded these days, I wouldn't even put it past them to have deliberately conceived of this so people share it around Twitter going, oh my god, they literally put Kushida in a bin. And, well, not to play along with that, but oh my god, they literally put Kushida in a bin. I'm not going to get carried away with this, right, but the man was, at the time, NXT's biggest signing since Nakamura. They put him in the front row of TakeOver New York. They did hype package after hype package to give a 6-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion the acclaim he was due. And since then, since we've been on television, do you want to know what he's done? He's tagged with Breezango. He got beat in the first round of the Dusty Classic. He went 50-50 in a feud with Cameron Grimes about a hat. He lost to Walter, and now he is literally in the bin. Save this man down. Now, I'm not going to give this an up or a down because I've already said my piece on these two doing their talking in the ring, but I do just want to point out one little bit that really amused me, and that is Gargano saying that he's been counting down the days till their match for 3 months. And Finn Balor goes, "You've been counting down the days for 3 months," and the crowd starts to laugh because they think he's pointing out how ridiculous that idea is, and he goes, "I've been counting down the days for 4 years." It's like, oh, they're serious. Oh, okay. Moving swiftly on, and Casey Catanzaro versus Mercedes Martinez in a match that, on the surface, felt like just a squash for one of them and a reason to remind you the other existed. But when you actually think about it, goes way deeper. Now, yeah, fair enough, it's not an inaccurate assessment to be like, look, here they go, they're showing you that Mercedes Martinez is bad, and bang, that's her finisher, in case you're wondering. But what they've actually done here is create the genuine feeling of a proper division. Now, yes, Martinez has already debuted in NXT, and yes, she was in the Rumble, but on the quest for Rhea Ripley's championship, what's she done? She's done absolutely nothing, thus she must start at the bottom of the rung, precisely where Casey Catanzaro is. And now that she's won, you want to see her face somebody else who's got a win or two under her belt, so there's a natural match to do with Shotzi Blackheart, and the winner of that can then go up another rung to face somebody like a Candice or an Io when they come back, or something like that. You can genuinely see the path from zero to championship match, and it feels really well thought out. Like even Catanzaro here, she's not really hurt by this defeat because it's Mercedes Martinez and she got enough of her stuff in that she's worthy of another shot somewhere down the line. Like even when you get beat, you got to bounce back, and even when you win, you've got to move forward. It feels like a division, and the men's league doesn't really have that right now. Bottom line here, you want it to feel like someone has to go on a long path to get a title shot, not just randomly handed one because they're the most exciting option. So yes, this whole match gets an up. Oh my god, it's a minor gripe this, but hooray! Another brawl on NXT! Now, honestly, I've had the occasional tweets being like, how can you not like these brawls? They're exciting, and I agree, brawls are designed to raise your heart rate, to make you excited, but this is like what? The 8,000th one we've had on an episode. And you know what the really maddening thing is about this one, right? It was actually quite good. It started with Ciampa in the Undisputed Era, and they brawled backstage, and they got into the ring, then the Broserweights joined in, and security tried to separate them, and Regal comes down and does an absolute classic 101 lesson on how to do less is more general managing. You want to fight? Well, get your bloody gear on then. You're going to have a fight, and then he leaves. It was actually really exciting, and it made me want to see the match, but it was the 8,000th time we've had a brawl on the USA Network. And this is the thing, I have to assign either a good score or a bad score to this segment, and despite the fact I actually liked what I was seeing here, I gotta give it a down because these have worn thin so much over the past couple of weeks that this carried nowhere near the impact it otherwise could have. You're supposed to save these mass brawls for when they're this good, not do them every week. I loved it, but I was sick of it. I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you, right? If there isn't a mass brawl on next week's episode of NXT, I will present the entire episode of Ups and Downs in the style of a pirate. A jolly pirate. Another wrestling match now, you remember those, and Jordan Devlin takes on Tyler Breeze, making his debut on NXT proper, and this was really good. Now, I said last week I'm absolutely delighted they're not forgetting about NXT UK following Worlds Collide, and while yes, Devlin is the Cruiserweight Champion, so he would be here anyway, he does feel like a really good advertisement for that brand. Commentary was specifically referring to his role on that show to remind you that it's there, and hopefully, fingers crossed, he's going to be defending that belt across both brands. Now, this wasn't a title defense, but Tyler Bates certainly still gave him a run for his money. He looked like he might be on the verge of embarrassing him on his first night on the show, but Devlin absorbed punishment after punishment after punishment before he caught him with, can we just get a still of that last headbutt, please? Whoa! Now, in the end, Devlin won, but I just want to circle back to Angel Garza's promo here because after his match, he called out Devlin. He never lost that title. You did not pin me, Jordan, so he wants to face him at some point. And the thing is, takeovers traditionally have 5 matches, and we are already on 6. And there's a return later in the night, which is probably going to build to yet another one, but still, surely, we must be at the point now where these cruiserweights have to be on the takeover card. They're too good to leave out. Every single match is an absolute banger, and I have no doubt whatsoever that Garza versus Devlin will be no exception whatsoever. They are going to give us a takeover quality match. I just hope they get the literal takeover platform in which to do it. And the match was an up, obviously. Right, here's the moment we've all been waiting for. Charlotte Flair, the Queen, returns to Full Sail. Pretty much the only thing they were really advertising in advance of this show, and I was worried, friends. I was really worried because you've got Ripley versus Belair coming up. That should be the focus of all of your attention, and yet if they're going to unveil Charlotte as a challenger for WrestleMania, that kind of takes the focus off that. It does Belair dirty, in my opinion, but why did I worry? Why did I sit through Survivor Series where they spun all those plates and worry about how they do this? Somehow, the advertised appearance of Charlotte Flair returning to NXT, which would be calling out the current champion, Rhea Ripley, ended with Bianca Belair looking like the best thing in that entire division. She came out, she took issue with Charlotte, she insisted Ripley wasn't going to roll over her, she did all of those cool little one-liners she was given it during the build-up to War Games. You don't even go here, pops the crowd every single time. She's got such a natural charisma on that microphone, which she didn't appear to have not that very long ago, so this is a huge bright spot. It's not even that, it's the visual reactions to everything that's going on around her. Like, they don't give Academy Awards out for that either, but... And yes, if you've not seen it, first Belair comes out, then Charlotte, then Ripley, and they all kind of talk to each other before Ripley and Belair decide that, hang on, you're giving it all this? we are NXT, and both of those two flatten Charlotte in the middle of the ring leading up to Portland. Just basically saying, look, we'll get to this, but this comes first, which is precisely how they should have done it. It's a massive up, and I give Bianca Belair in this segment this week's yellow jacket. Alright, the main event of the evening now, and while that brawl was, yes, a tired old trope, you can give me as many cliches as you like, provided the matches end up being this good. And I mean, for the amount of TV time they sunk into this, there was the opening promo, all that backstage stuff, then the big brawl, then everything else. This had to kind of deliver, and given nearly 20 minutes to close the show, it comfortably did. Now, there wasn't really a whole lot of wrestling on NXT this week, so you should categorically go and watch this match. It's about 17 minutes of really good tag team wrestling with a couple of interference spots, everybody getting their stuff in, and everybody having at least a couple of minutes to look like the best thing in that match. Riddle especially. And wouldn't you just know it, just as the faces looked like they were about to snatch an unlikely victory, Undisputed Era, run an interference spot. And normally, I'd be like, are you kidding me? With this, you've sunk all that TV time into it just to give me a stupid non-finish. What a down that is. Except, no, not in this case, because it was building to something else much better, so the match gets an up. Honestly, if what followed had not followed, I would have been so annoyed with this. You sunk pretty much 2 hours of this entire broadcast into giving us a match which ends with a DQ and services absolutely nobody. I would have been cross, but I ain't mad. Oh God, I ain't mad at all, because Velveteen Dream's back. Now, I could spend an entire video telling you how much this delights me, but as I say, I'm going to see Colin Ray Jepsen this weekend, so I ain't got the time, brothers. But this is just so perfect. For a show that struggles to find a second note, that struggles to be anything but intense all the time, here is its most naturally entertaining, charismatic presence, and he has returned just in time for WrestleMania season. The problems with NXT are small, yes, but this man is the perfect tonic, the ideal silky remedy for every single one of them. And not only that, not only did he lay out the entire Undisputed Era, but he ripped off his tights to reveal new tights, which had a picture of Roderick Strong's family and the words, "Call me up Maria," across his backside. Oh, he's an up. He is an up. He's just, the man is a human up. And there it is. And before we go, we still have time for the most important segment here on NXT Ups and Downs, where we scour the entire 2-hour broadcast for clues, for hints, for snippets of the one thing every single NXT fan really wants. My friends, it's time for Bug Watch. Yes, here you are, friends. This is the jazzy, groovy up I am willing to automatically apply to an episode of NXT should they give a sight or sound of Rick Buggs a la Eric Bugenhagen. And was he on this week? Was he? So there you have it. Those are all the ups and downs for this week's episode of NXT. A banger if ever I have seen one. Huge thanks, by the way, to Adam Nicholas for filling in last week. Can't remember where I was, space or something, but let us know what you made of it all in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I have, of course, been Adam Clery, and I will see you soon.
Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture, and if you're a fan of what you've just seen, then make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for daily wrestling podcasts, where we not only review Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, we also discuss the events before and after of pay-per-views. We have roundtable discussions discussing burning wrestling issues, interviews, and a roundup of the week, complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. Thanks for watching. I've been Adam from WhatCulture, and I'll see you soon.